All right. So I set up everything to sell. I checked the Caerleon market. Nothing on the Caerleon market was better than the black market. Sometimes it is. What just sold? I literally just sold something. Why didn't I get a mail? I swear there was a T7 item on the top. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm also reselling some T3 stuff that I had selling here like a month ago that just canceled. So I reposted all this stuff. Because this shit sells pretty good. Like, look at this, 16K for 10. I'm selling for 3.4. So that's 30K. That's like double. I'm basically doubling my money. T T1, 2, and 3 gear. I don't think T1 gear drops. It might. T1 gear is so rare because there's just so few made. There's no reason to make it really. But T2 and T3 gear is pretty good for flipping on the black market because you can buy it for so cheap with buy orders and you can sell it for a ridiculous percentage increase. Like the percentage value increase is insanity. The only problem is buying enough product and selling it. Like that's literally the problem. But you can make a huge margin longbow. Okay. So what I like to do is I just like to sit here for a little bit while everything's going crazy and just kind of selling it myself like manually. So I go like this, I go like this, and then it's like 40K is like the highest they offer, but I'm selling it for 79, so I don't like to do that. So I just like to undercut and then sell one, and then that's it. I just sell one at a time. And then when an item sells, I'll just repost it. If I want to do bulk, like the tier 3 stuff, I did bulk. I did like 10 of each. Let's like I did 10 of each or whatever. Look, they're at 5, 5, and 3. So they've been selling. Oh no, wait. The holy staff I did 6. The frost staff I did 10. The holy staff I did 6, and the fire staff I did 3 because I only had 3. That's what I did. I'm misremembering, and that was only a couple minutes ago. Like you can tell because it says 23. But yeah, I like to try and post one. Look at this. I posted 5, maybe by accident. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I like to try and post just one. But yeah, and then when I get the mails, I just kind of sit here for a little bit because usually they go pretty quickly in the beginning. When I get the mails, I just sell them as they come. I also wanted to sell this garbage. So let's take a look. So what I do is I check this price, I check this price. 91K, I'll take it. I'll insta sell for 91. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to search it and see if there's a better one. Oh, it already got filled. Look at that. It instantly got filled. 91K, I was going to fill it, but I wanted to check if there was a better one because sometimes the best one is not the quality that you're trying to sell it at. So you want to double check. Like this Satchel of Insight, 124, right? I can sell now for 124, or I can set up a sell order for 124. So I'm going to do the sell now, because why not? This helmet, it's a flat helmet, 87K, 60K. How much is the sell order? 94. So it's 7K difference. I don't care about 7K. I'm going to sell it, because I want to instantly sell. Sometimes it's worth it. Arcane staff, one-handed arcane, right? That looks like a one-handed main hand, yep. And enigmatic. Okay, I have both. So then I go back in here. I check the one-hand arcanes, right? 83. Interesting. How much am I selling it? For 84. So I'm going to insta-sell, because why not? 1K, whatever, I don't care. Enigmatic, let's take a look. 61 they're offering. How much is this? The estimated is 78. So I'm not willing to take 78. So then I go into here, I look at the one stack, and then I see it's like 100 and something, and then I just post it. And then boom, done. And I just wait a little bit. Like I don't have to wait here all day. I can leave. I can just post everything and leave. Or I can just put all this stuff in my bank. There's a bank here. Put all this stuff in my bank and then leave. But I'm going to keep the armor for transporting. Obviously, I'm going to keep the bear and the shield. And obviously the cape. I need to buy a new helmet. I'm probably going to buy a T3 helmet. Unless I want to flip a helmet that I have in my bank here. Actually, I should go to the bank and check what I have. But the thing is, if I'm flipping, then I'm going to the black market. So why would I bring it out of Caerleon? It doesn't make sense. But let's see what I have. Look, I got a T5 helmet. Look, I got multiple bears here. I got multiple shields. Hell yeah. It's not bad. It's pretty good. So these items, like I want to post these on the market. Like I can't sell my gathering gear. I was using this for transporting, but then I'm like, okay. Like if you compare the two. Oh wait, I should scroll down. I like the gathering gear because it has stealth. Okay, that's the one reason why I like it. Okay, so I took a screenshot of it so I can remember the stats. And then I go over to my Guardian armor. And like you compare the two, right? Like the Guardian armor has more armor. The Guardian armor has more magic resist. And CC resist, I'm pretty sure the Guardian armor gets beat by just slightly, but not much. Not enough to justify the armor and the magic resist. So the Guardian armor wins. Now, the Guardian armor is a little bit more expensive. Estimated 111, whereas this is 131. But that doesn't really matter. Also, it's a good idea to note that the resources used to make the gathering gear affect the armor and the magic resist. Not the CC resist. I think the CC resist is exactly the same. But the armor and the magic resist is affected by the material. And as you can probably guess, there's 3 of them. So, where is it? So obviously, oh no, that's, oh, okay, we can go, there's the gathering. This is made of leather, so this has lower armor and magic resist than the one made of metal. The one made of metal has higher armor but lower magic resist. The courier is made of metal, just like the miner. The hide, the animal skinner, whatever, is made of leather. Guess what the lumberjack's made out of? That's right, leather. So it's the same as the skinner one. Just like the courier is the same as the miner. But the harvester is made of cloth. So the harvester has higher magic resist, but lower armor. They all should have the same CC resistance. I have higher spec because I have 41, or I have higher like stats in my harvester because I have 41 spec in Elder fiber harvester. So my base item power is going to be higher. So as you can see here, I'm going to take a screenshot so I can remember. Right? And then we'll compare it to the leather one. So as you see, it has lower armor, but higher magic resist. The CC resist might be higher. Okay, it's not. So it doesn't really take into account item power. Because look at the item power difference. 1278, and this is 1168. So it's almost 100 item power difference. Because I have no spec in T8 hide. Just like I have no spec in any of them. I only have spec in fiber because I was a main fiber gatherer for my guild for a little while. I wasn't the main. I was like tertiary. But I asked, like, when our nodes were gonna reset, like 20 minutes before they reset, I'm like, hey, nobody's gathered the T8 fiber. Can I gather the fiber? And they were like, yeah, sure. Just, follow the guild rules. Back in those days, we had guild rules for gathering the T8 fiber that spawned in our guild Terry. And the rule was we had to give either 20 or 25 resources, like the T8 fiber itself, to the guild. The rest of it was mine. So basically, they basically told me to wear gathering gear and to eat a pie. Because if I wore gathering gear and ate a pie, then I would get more for myself. Like the guild didn't care if you wore gathering gear and ate a pie. They did not give a shit if you did that. But that's how the rules were. But I never was lucky enough to get like one that was enchanted for my guild. I've stolen enchanted stuff off other guilds, and I've stolen flat off other guilds as well, because it was so easy to steal resources back then. It was so easy to get T8 back then. Like nowadays, people are all like, "Oh, it's so much better because it's not in the guild area." But it's like, no, it's worse because now you got to go look for it, and then other people gather it, and everyone's like not scared of the guards. I mean, everyone is scared of the guards, so they most likely don't invade. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I would just go and dive a guild, a territory, and I would steal resources all the time. Like, that's like what I did. And even with guildmates, me and my buddy went out, me and Crean was able to gather T8 lumberjack or whatever. He was able to gather wood, and I was able to gather fiber, and we used to duo killing siphoning mages and stealing resources off the enemy guilds that were in our territory, like, area. We used to do it all the time, and it was pretty fun. Like, we just stole it. We didn't care if it was up, it was stolen, like, flat. We didn't give a shit. And you know, we killed their siphoning mages, so we both made like hundreds of thousands of silver off killing one siphoning mage, because back then the siphoning mages dropped like 20 to 30 siphoned energy, and siphoned energy was 20k back then. So let's say 25 siphoning energy times 20,000, that's 500k. So split between the two of us, that's 250k. So what we did was we would go kill the siphoning mages by raiding their territory. We would get the energy, right? Then we would store it in our guild, the guild like menu or whatever. You know, you can store siphon energy. I think it's this one, yeah. So we dropped it off into here, and then at the end of the raid, Crean was an officer in the guild, so Crean would pull out the siphoned energy and then just give me half of it. He'd be like, "All right, we got," and then he would just add it all up, and then he would divide it by 2, and boom, give it to me. Or we went with 3 people sometimes. We went with like somebody else. We didn't really have a consistent third person. Usually one of us would go healer. Sometimes it was me, but not always. It was actually on this character that I was stealing stuff with, because obviously this was my gatherer back then. And I don't even remember the guilds we used to hit. I remember there was like Team Casualty. We used to hit them all the time. We used to hit another guild. I can't remember the name. That was not part of PoE. And they weren't part of Team Casualty's alliance either. Whatever Team Casualty's alliance was. Team Casualty was so big that they didn't really need an alliance. Like, they were just kind of just a big, massive guild that took over the same territories. They always had the same land in Cumbria. So, you know, that was kind of their zone. That's what they owned. They owned all the steppes and the swamps. Not all of them, but most of the steppes and swamps in Cumbria. Mercia was taken over by Money Guild, like always, pretty much. And Anglia was taken over by Ironborn Alliance, I think it was called. I'm pretty sure it was Ironborn. They were huge in Anglia. Massive. They took over the whole continent. And the whole continent consisted of 2 continents. That's how big Anglia was. Anglia was the size of Mercia plus Cumbria. But it wasn't as good. It was like a bad territory to take over, because you gained less siphon energy from the siphoning mages every hour or whatever it was. You got less enchanted resources because the enchant rate was much, much lower. And the dungeons on the maps were lower tier. Like, the lowest tier dungeon in Anglia was tier 4. There was a tier 4 static dungeon in Anglia. I used to fame farm in one a lot because it was really easy to duo. You'd go in with like a DPS, like a tank DPS, and then you'd like a healer, and that was it. That's all you needed. You can even do a trio if you wanted to. The fame per hour was better as a duo, though. So we did the T4 statics. There was T5 statics in Anglia and in Cumbria, not in Mercia. There was T6 statics in Cumbria and Mercia, and then there was T7 statics in just Mercia. And that's how the game was kind of balanced. And there was only one T8 kind of static. It wasn't really a static dungeon. It was just like that open world zone, kind of like what we have nowadays. It was the this guy, the elite demon prince. So they had one of these back in Mercia, and it was called Circling Vultures, CV. CV farming was pretty big. You would get a lot of money just running around as a 3-man group or 4-man or 5-man group doing the outside bosses, breaking the chests. There was like a chest that spawned in every single one of these like little kind of areas here, and there was like a boss as well. There was like a boss right here with a chest. There was a boss and a chest down here somewhere. I think over here there was a boss. Right there was a boss. I don't remember the boss over here, but I know there was a chest or two. There was a couple chests. Those chests gave so much money. It was ridiculous. You would get like 20 minutes of farming in Circling Vultures, because anytime you go in Circling Vultures, you would die. It was guaranteed death, pretty much, because Arch would come in, Money Guild would come in, PoE would come in, like all the big boys would come in and just raid the zone. Like they'd just run through with like a 20-man Zerg and just kill anyone in there, and then they would farm the zone for a little bit, and then they would leave. Because they knew another big Zerg from other guilds and groups would come in and do that. So that was the only T8 static zone in the game. There was only one. And how the game worked back then with Mercia was next to that T8 static zone, there was 4 like break off points. Like this one only has 3, but that one had 4. And from those 4, they also had T8 zones. And then that was it. There was literally only 5 T8 zones in the game for literal years. Like I'm talking 2017, 2018, and the beginning of 2019. 2019 and beyond, they started to add more. And then they did a rebalance of the world, like they did it how it is now, like the roads and then this giant fucking mass over here. They completely changed everything. Everything got overhauled. But I really liked the old system. I liked it a lot. I liked leaving from Caerleon. I liked Caerleon being the main city. To me, that was a good idea. But whatever. They're never going to go back that way. It's the way how it's balanced now. It's a lot more balanced nowadays. But I liked the Caerleon being the main city where you left the Realm Gate from to get to the Black Zone. I like that because everything was cheap or cheaper in Caerleon because everyone was in Caerleon. So to me, that was just great. Like that was great for people like newbies, new players. It was perfect. You go to Caerleon, you got everything super cheap. Yeah, sure, newbies were scared of Caerleon, but whatever, just go there. Go there naked, whatever, who cares? Everything's cheap. And then you work out of Caerleon. You go to the red zone, you do your thing in red zone. Oh, you go to the black zone, whatever, you do your thing in the black zone. Didn't matter. Join a Mega Alliance and you're good. That's all you had to do. It wasn't complicated. People didn't like it because they didn't like joining Mega Alliances. They didn't like, zerging up as a 200-man group to go and defend a war camp. I really like doing war camps, but they got rid of that system. All that stuff got changed. They don't exist anymore. Feels bad, man. I really like the old system. I really do. Anyways, I'm going to continue flipping. Go through if I have any of these items. Journeyman Frost Staff. Hell yeah. So now I'm going to post these guys up. Let's go do that right now before I forget. Oh, I should go over here. I'm going to go to 2 loading screens, but I'm going to appear right outside the black market. Anyways.